Just checking our connections worldwide, front, back and centre. Yes, indeed, folks, we are live. Hello there. My name is Keithy Broom. I'm a very old person and I live down under in Australia. I've tried many things over the years, from going to school, that didn't work out. Working in an apartment store, that didn't work out. Got married, unfortunately that didn't work out. But tried a bricks and mortar business for 5 years in one, 7 years in another. And it's taken me this long, that I'll be 60 in a few months, to find an online business that has been around for over 10 years that I can get my teeth into and get a daily income. That, of course, is Swiss Gold Global. And tonight is our number 37th Monday night hangout for Swiss Gold Global Australia. And all we do is talk about cryptocurrency, mining, Bitcoin, Dashcoin, Litecoin, all the rest of the coins, and invite different people on. We're, in fact, live on YouTube, just double checking that. There's got a few people watching already. G'day to you folks. Say hello in the chat box so we know where you are in relation to the planet. Now, quick introduction, because I've got a couple of regulars and a couple of, and one who tends to drift in and out like a nomadic tribesman across the Kalahari Desert. Of course, that's Prem, but we'll get to you in a minute, mate. Claudia, it's, where are you? Now, that picture behind you is familiar to us. Is that you're back in Germany, are you?
I'm back in Germany, and I'm just finished my gymnastic in the morning. It's beautiful here, so I'm, it's back summertime, and I got to spend a few months in Europe before I go back to somewhere else, hotter weather. So, and no, we're going to go to Australia, aren't we, very soon?
Yes, you are, and hopefully you catch up in. If it's July, you can time that with my birthday, and we can celebrate together. So see how that goes. They're looking forward to you guys. You and Bill coming back to Australia, that'd be great. We'll have a cast of thousands ready to meet you, so that's awesome. Thanks for being on today. Now, Paul Weeks, you're a little bit, no, you're not older than me, are you? Or you're very close? 60 odd? What are you?
I'm down under, older.
You're older.
Yeah.
Okay. So the must be all the older blokes down under getting into cryptocurrency, and the young ones are kind of yet to find out. Now, surprisingly, I had two guys. I've got Airbnb in my house here, couple of the rooms, and two guys from Hong Kong, 24 and 28. I had the Swiss Gold Global banner up, and I said, they asked me, what do I do? And I said, oh, see that Bitcoin. Do you know what Bitcoin is? And they both nodded yes, so that was very good. So some of the young ones do, Paul. So thanks for joining us again this week. From the Gold Coast. Very good of you to pop on. Thank you, mate. And Mr. Prem Jahal has come in from the cold, so to speak, even though it's summertime in London. How are you, mate? Long time no see. Can you put up a card and write on it like the Special Olympics? Hello, Keithy. How are you? Yeah. No, I can't hear you, mate. Yeah. Jump in, jump out, mate. We'll get you. That's all right. All good. So there you go. Now, Bill has just messaged me as well via WhatsApp. Now, Bill is very technologically sort of sorted out. Isn't he, Claudia? So he's on WhatsApp. That's pretty good. So while we're waiting for Bill and Prem to join us back there, we'll just quickly jump on. By the way, I've just bought another contract, Swiss Gold Global. I bought myself another Bitcoin mining contract. That's the only thing we have available at the moment, $35.80. We've got them available. In my back office for upgrading an account. If you go to if you want to be an affiliate, you get the 15 terahash available. The platinum offer, $5,000. So the larger amounts of Bitcoin mining contracts with the affiliate programs are available. As an affiliate myself, I can buy 15 terahash at the moment, which means I've got plenty of contracts around, which is great. And I bought just a single, just bought one 3580, because what I've been doing, and just a tip for anyone who's new, the first 6 months, and Prem, because I signed up originally under you. Can we hear you now, Prem?
Can you hear me?
Yay! Finally, yeah, finally. They must have replugged between you and France in the tunnel. They must have plugged the wires back together. So your UK's connected to Europe now again.
You know, you have an amazing spirit, Keithy. Humor and everything. But no, hello everybody, first of all. And no, I switched browsers. Basically, Chrome wasn't loading, so I went to Safari. So we're okay now. So yeah, glad to be here finally, and once again. And yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you were saying something about all the failures you've been through, and
oh, the failures. Yeah. Well, that's part of the journey, isn't it? If you want to get to ultimate success, you've really got to have the hard times to learn from your mistakes, to learn from what you've done, or learn from following the wrong people, and then keep that spirit high, keep the never give up, never say die attitude, which you tend to get that from people you hang around. Now, that might be your mother and father, or might be your football coach, or your rugby coach, or your teacher, or some person in your life who really gives you an inspiration. And then you might fall across. Now, a lot of my motivation has come from my mum and dad, but when I first came to Australia, a little side story here, that I started looking for a job. I was only 23, I think, when I first came to Australia, and I ended up answering an advert. It was a really well-worded advert, and I ended up selling stainless steel cookware door-to-door, commission only. So if I didn't sell a $1,000 set of cookware, then I didn't get to eat. But what they did in the company, they had this training mechanism in place, and the training was done by Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and all those guys back in the 70s, 80s. So the techniques and technology and the understanding of sales and business and relationships and talking, I picked up through repetitive listening to this training courses over and over and over, year after year after year, that I was in the business. And that has held me instead for 30 odd years. The motivation I got from the people around me in that company, they said, you know, you're going to get rejected. Every time you knock on a door, 29 out of 30 is going to say no. So you've got to be able to handle that rejection. But that one person who will say yes is actually truly generally after something that you have that is of value, and they will stay with you and become part of your team. And that's what I learned from all those years ago. So we actually used to break it down, and maybe people can understand this analogy that I would talk to 30 people during the day, and I'd approach people at shopping centres and just knock on doors in random suburbs. And out of those 30 people, I would manage to get 10 appointments on an appointment card. And out of those 10 appointments, I would manage to get in their door to do 3 live presentations. And out of those 3 live presentations, I would get 1 sale. And that was the ratio, 1 sale out of every 30. So one sale back then, back in the early 80s, was 300 Australian dollars. It was quite a fair amount of money for me. I had to work pretty hard for it. But so every person I spoke to, I worked out was worth $10. So regardless of whether they said yes or no, they would say, no, not interested, go away, don't blow. I often say, sorry for the interruption, but thanks very much for your $10, because that would be one more person closer to the person who would buy the product, who would generally want to use it, etc. So I worked out every person I spoke to was worth about $10 to me. So I was always happy and excited to talk to anyone, because I knew at the end of the day they were worth something of value to me. And if I could make their day a little bit happier by having a bit of fun or whatever, all the best. So here is no different. Our product is, not many people know about it. The 2 young guys who were staying Airbnb, they didn't know about it, but the person who stayed last week had no idea what it was. Bitcoin. What's a Bitcoin? Can you hold one? And I said, no, but I've got one, I haven't got it here in front of me, the one you buy off eBay. I said, it's nothing like this, it's digital. Digital money. What do you know what that is? They haven't a clue. Bill's joined us. G'day, Bill. Your camera's not on, but can you hear us, Bill? Oh, he's...
He just messaged in the chat saying his Wi-Fi is weak, and I suggested maybe he can change his browser, so he'll try and come back.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, well, what I'd like to talk about quickly today is the slight drop in Bitcoin price. It's been climbing reasonably well, and almost got to 10,000 US about a week and a half ago, and it's dropped back, but it's surging up and down. About, I was speaking to Paul before we went live, it's about $1,000 in the last 7 days. It's 84.21 US at the moment. It's about 0.42 under for the last 24 hours. But a few of it, it's red and green on the list of all the coins. We haven't had you on for a little while, Prem, and you love your cryptocurrency. You're right on top of what's going on, and I like your little avatar there, never give up. That's a friend of mine who was a mentor of mine many years ago, played football or soccer for Chelsea, Scottish guy, and that was I worked for him in recruitment, and he gave me a silver pen and engraved on it, never give up. So it's a great terminology that I relate to. What's happening with the Bitcoin price from your angle, Prem? What do you think's going on? Okay,
a few things. The way to pick up information, there are many ways to do it. One is you read all the newspaper, blog and website articles that concern themselves with Bitcoin. That's one way to get information. Another way to get information is through people who are actually active traders and the kind of people that read white papers and understand everything else that's going on in the ecosystem. So there are two different views that I could pick up. I've frankly been quite busy with something else completely. By the way, I've been part of something that has gone into administration as we speak, so it's gone belly up. But it'll be resurrected very soon. Regulators don't like anything that people do on their own without their blessings, you know. So or anything that doesn't fit in their mind, they don't like it, they reject it. But you know, a lot of work going on in the background. So I've not really been that deeply into crypto, but I keep an eye because obviously I have a small portfolio that I like to manage. And the two things that have happened are the following. Mt. Gox moved 8,200 Bitcoin from one wallet to another wallet. And Mt. Gox, if you recall, a few years ago, was a big Chinese exchange that went under and took everybody's Bitcoin with them. But obviously, the owners of it still are around, and they have everybody else's Bitcoin. And they moved from one to the other. That created a little bit of speculation. But on the whole, right this morning, I had a request from a London-based bank to say, Prem, can you help us get a hold of 1 billion British pound worth of Bitcoin? That's a lot of Bitcoin. That's a lot of money coming into Bitcoin.
What did you say? Hang on, Prem. What did you say? How much? 1 billion. 1 billion pounds.
1 billion pounds. So about 1,300. Well, 1,300 million US dollars worth of Bitcoin. They want to buy it, obviously not on one day, but over a period of time. So they need something structured. I also have access to a friend who's a Financial Conduct Authority registered broker with a license to deal in Bitcoin. So whilst the price goes up and down based on literally fear and uncertainty, there are speculative elements there where people are happy to dump it. You know, think about it. You know, somebody who bought Bitcoin when everybody was fearful, they bought Bitcoin maybe $6,000–7,000 a piece. It went up to 9,700. They started selling at that point, and now it's come back down here. They'll buy back more. So this is what people do. You know, unlike you and me, Keithy, you like to maybe, I would like to think, you like to accumulate Bitcoin and hold it and watch it grow so your portfolio looks nicer a few months down the line. But the traders, and that's the trading mindset, they're not long-term thinkers. They want to be in the game long-term, so they have a portfolio of coins set aside that they want to definitely keep in the long term. But they also have a portfolio, some part of it, where they buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell all the time. So in all of this, we, the small people, get caught up. We are caught up in a game that is being played, and that is going to happen no matter what you do. If somebody makes a good profit on something, they want to sell and realize it and turn it into the kind of cash with which you can buy a house or a piece of land, because Bitcoin is not there yet. Its acceptance isn't so grassroots levels yet. But like I was telling you, there is large interest coming in from banks that want to at least park some of their proprietary assets into Bitcoin. And as a consequence, they're looking for ways of doing it. And the thing is, we are literally at the leading edge of it. Now, think about it. If Macquarie Bank wanted to buy Bitcoin, and if I could tell you I have an FCA-regulated broker who can arrange it over a number of days, and it's a 24/7, 7 days a week job. It's not, Bitcoin doesn't rest on a Saturday or a Sunday. You know, you could literally approach Macquarie and say, "Hey, fellas, do you have any Bitcoin on your books? If you don't, you want to get some? Keithy can sort you out." And all of a sudden now, because they may not necessarily know who to access, but we know mechanisms and few people who are in place, you know, the market is unlimited, literally. So Mt. Gox moving some of the Bitcoin in and out, and then there was some negative news, and Warren Buffett doing his usual thing about criticizing Bitcoin. So it's a mixed bag. But guys, this is just news, and news isn't necessarily facts. News is whatever sells or gets people to read something, right? There's an article recently, gay baboon took advantage of 5 men in South Africa. Fake news completely, but you know, it went viral. And what, you know, total nonsense, by the way, but it went viral because it has the interest of people. So I've got like people sending newspaper clippings of, "Have you seen this? You know, don't want to go to South Africa now." But you know, news is just whatever you read is news. Doesn't mean it's truth or facts. We know that behind Bitcoin, mathematics is the regulator that controls Bitcoin, and you do not argue with maths. Some people get fearful of authorities. The authorities don't necessarily themselves understand fully what Bitcoin is. But in all of this, Keithy, I would just like to quickly mention for our audience, the big event this month really is the 25th of May, which is GDPR coming into force. And GDPR is very, very important. It affects absolutely every organization that holds records or details of other people. Even if you've subscribed to a radio show which sends you regular newsletters, they are going to have to write back to you and ask you all over again, do we have your permission to keep sending you these messages? Do we have your permission? So the global data protection regulation comes into force on the 25th of May. And you would have received from your Gmail, from your Facebook, from your Messenger, all these other little entities, even WhatsApp, you would have received notifications to say you need to read this and accept it. Now, whilst it sounds very good that you're going to accept it, if you read the small print, and which is unfortunately many cases people don't, if you read the small print, the organizations to whom you're giving permission to keep sending you information are also seeking your permission to share that information with third parties of their choice, which means under the law, all cryptocurrency wallets, all exchanges, if they want to continue doing business with people such as those living in Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, Switzerland, Germany, wherever you may be, those who want to do any kind of crypto business, now there is no such thing as secrecy, right? You cannot pretend I have a Bitcoin wallet, but it's got nothing to do with my government. Now, whilst your Bitcoin is still in cyberspace, and with it you do whatever you do in cyberspace, that you need to track that and maintain those records on your own independently. But the moment you bring it down from cyberspace and convert it into your hard cash Aussie dollars in order to buy your latte or whatever, that point you need to be able to understand that that information will be passed on to your local tax authorities, which is in a way good, because none of us are here to evade taxes. We are trying to avoid taxes, and a lot of people don't understand the difference in the two. Tax evasion in most civilized countries is a criminal offense. Tax evasion means you're deliberately trying to avoid paying taxes that you owe already. You have already built up an owing according to your tax laws, and you have to pay those taxes. Whereas tax avoidance is, how can you do something where you don't have to pay tax? And this is how the wealthiest in the world, they create things like trust structures, offshore companies, etc. And they create all these things that help them to minimize the amount of tax they pay. Now, as of the 25th, in the run-up to GDPR, you will be asked by various wallets, all your exchange accounts, all of them will ask you to tick a little box to say, I agree, and then proceed. Your account will look as normal as before, and nothing will really change as far as you're concerned, except the information they hold about you. If a local court orders that organization to reveal that information to them, you are going to have to. Either you give it voluntarily or they will take your information anyway. So that is just one thing people need to be aware of, that this is in a way a good thing, but in another way, I don't really want Facebook sharing my information with Google, and all of a sudden, all the main platforms I'm dealing with in my online life are sharing my information with each other, targeting me, personalizing their advertising to target my lifestyle, to target my whatever I do. And basically, there's no longer any privacy left as far as your online existence is concerned. And unless, you do a Crocodile Dundee and you're living with, playing your didgeridoo in the bush somewhere, you're not really, nothing is hidden anymore. Having said that, the internet itself is not the jurisdiction of any one country. So what you do in cyberspace remains in cyberspace to some extent, but people need to start preparing to have to offer a lot more information to any authority that seeks to find it. If you have a small holding of a few Bitcoin here and there, nothing really matters. You're one of millions of people. Nothing to be scared of. It just be aware that you want to really narrow down, pick a few good wallets, few good exchange accounts, and start tracking and downloading your performance and everything else, and treat it like a normal investment, because we don't know at what point they will try to have greater control on cryptocurrency, which they must. It's too good to be true that people, you and I, can get together and decide Bitcoin is money, and you and I exchange it between each other, and all these massive systems built up. They're thinking, hang on a minute, how dare you do that without us? And this is exactly why Swiss Gold Global has been so useful, because they left a loophole, maybe not a loophole, they deliberately made gold free of taxes in most countries in the world. And we have the ability to convert Bitcoin into gold, and you're basically taking your cyber earnings and buying a tax-free, tax-efficient asset with it. And when you bring that home, you're now sitting on the return power of cryptocurrency, but at the same time, the tax efficiency of physical precious metals, and you have assets more than your next door neighbor. Yeah. Someone just asked me recently, gold and silver, people still doing that? That sounds so medieval. And I was saying, well, think about it. For every bit of gold that you have something more than most of your neighbors. Surely that's a good thing, Yeah, so that's me, over and out.
Okay, good on you, Prem. Some great insight, knowledge, and tips as well. Yeah, every time I buy my coffee with my Bitcoin card, I know I'm exposing myself to the Australian banking system by swiping and typing my PIN in. I'm converting Bitcoin into Australian dollars, and that's going on the system that they can watch and track, and I understand that. So like you say, it's not it's avoidance as opposed to evasion is what. And at the end of the day, we're all trying to earn an income through a different type of business, and we all know that if we're in business, then we've got to pay with our local jurisdiction in the country we're in, we've got to pay tax. So the idea is to try and avoid paying the tax by claiming this, claiming computer mouse, claiming calculators, claiming whatever we can to avoid paying the tax. Because I'm at home, I've got a microphone, I can claim that. I've got reading glasses, I can claim that. What else? A diary. I can think of anything. I'm dry cleaning my shirts, anything that I can avoid paying tax on. But the opposite, the other option for me and many people in Swiss Gold Global, if we can't make money online, what is the option? The option is to try and get a job, whether it be a physical hard job and work 8 hours a day or 7.6 hours a day in Australia, 38 hours a week for somebody else, and have a restricted lifestyle for many years where you can't break out. Swiss Gold Global and what we're doing online gives an opportunity to add to the income that we've got at the moment and grow that additional income to a stage where it's the same as what we earn in a normal job, then it to overtake and take over until we can give away or go part-time with a regular job and enjoy a lifestyle online. But we still have to do the same normal thing as every other person in the country, pay your taxes, claim as much as you can through an accountant. Trouble is, Prem, that not many accountants in Australia know what Bitcoin is or how to deal with it. I just had Saeed on the chat says, do you have any info? Just funny you should mention that. He's already asked the question. Do you have any info about the tax from the ATO, Australian Tax Office, about CoinJar, which is the provider here in Australia? Australian government doesn't know what Bitcoin is. They think it's not a bag of sugar. They think it's you know, currency, but they don't accept it as a currency within Australia. But 2 senators have stood up and said, and Paul will back me up, and they said, yeah, well, we've got Bitcoin, 2 Australian senators. So they've opened the Pandora's box as far as government, people inside the government have actually accepted Bitcoin and have it and storing it and understand it. So we all understand that. So very good information. I'll throw to Claudia. Now you've been around South America, you're back in Europe. What's your take on people in Europe now that you've been back a little while? Things are exciting there. There's businesses opening up, accepting Bitcoin. There's people getting involved in contracts and trading, and what's going on?
Well, I'm actually in a little while, I'm going to attend there's a huge Frankfurt, you know, and also Berlin, become some, you know, heavy involved into blockchain development in both aspects of meaning, like really about, of course, Bitcoin regulatory, but also on ICOs and all this stuff. So I'm actually attending very soon a sort of a workshop in Frankfurt, and I'm meeting with some heavy people in the industry, in the world actually, on that. And myself, I'm getting trained more to, you know, get involved and really become, well, not an expert, but learn really more to obviously have all the understanding about regulatory side. And so, because you got to get, if you're involved in that, I mean, you got to understand the business you are in as well. And so this regulatory is changing all the time. It's getting tough, as of course Prem said. It's logically so. Well, here in Frankfurt, where I am, or Wiesbaden, basically, I don't see, like in Panama, I saw lots of little coffee shops and places accepting actually Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Dash. I don't see that yet so much here, to be honest. But I do see more people who have heard about Bitcoin, who even have heard about Bitcoin mining. But yet, of course, it's very it's like just a few people, so not many people. And what my focus and what I want to really do and in this space is, I want to get more women involved, because we have just like 5 or 6% worldwide of women in comparison to so many men. And so my mission will be to really build a community around women, so that women get into crypto, that they understand, that they're going to learn it, because it's a shame that just so few women actually are involved. So this is going to, because we want to have more women. Come on, it's more fun with women, isn't it? It's better to hang out with women than just men. Come on. I mean, you know that. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting, the whole thing, how it's evolving. And as Prem said, you know, there's so much trading going on, so much things going on. I have a long-term perspective on Bitcoin. I do trade a little tiny bit, but I do use Bitcoin. So I actually use Bitcoin, meaning I go like you shopping with Bitcoin. I bought flights with Bitcoin. I buy hotels with Bitcoin. And by the way, I just discovered a great travel site in Australia for Bitcoin. I have to send you that link because I want to, when we travel to Australia, use it. Because why we want to use the Bitcoin? Because if we are Bitcoin, if we want to really get to know the community into Bitcoin, hi Karen, and to have the use, hey, and to have really the use case of Bitcoin, well, we got to also use it. So I'm having one portfolio for accumulating more, one for trading, and one actually which I do use so that we get the word spread. So that's my take on it.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right. That's awesome. Yeah, that's strange that Europe's not. There's lots of little cafes here starting to sprout up, accepting Bitcoin. I know Paul backed me up. Brisbane Airport, Gold Coast Airport, is it now? They do Bitcoin as well, and coffee shops. We've got a coffee meeting tomorrow. What's today? Monday, Wednesday. We've got a coffee meeting on the Gold Coast for Swiss Gold Global.
Yeah, there's about 150 places dotted all over. Majority are at Brisbane Airport, but it's in every state in Australia now. We just went into a little coffee shop in Darwin the other day. So the airports are coming on stream. I don't think the Gold Coast Airport has got that as yet, but there's a number of little fish shops in a Mexican shop in the Gold Coast, which here for the Commonwealth Games everybody was using. So yeah, it's, as I said, there's about 150 shops in on the eastern seaboard at present that's using Bitcoin. Okay, awesome.
G'day, Karen. How are you? Cloudy wanted more women, so I just put the word out, and you responded straight away. Now you can't be in England, are you, with the weather like that? You must be somewhere else, Karen.
Hi, Keithy. Hi, everyone. No, I'm not in the UK, not with a background like this, that is for sure. I'm actually in Goa at the moment, in India, in the nice warm, about 35 degrees, and it's wonderful.
In Goa, in India? Oh my God, yeah. What's going on? You
superb.
Just on Prem's recommendation to go out to different parts of India?
Yeah, absolutely. It's truly wonderful. Actually, it's a retreat, and I've never stayed anywhere like it. Honestly, it's definitely recommend it to everyone. So chilled now, it's untrue. You won't recognise me when I come back.
Don't you miss?
If I turn sideways, you won't see me either.
Yeah, that's wow. You don't miss travelling up and down the M25 then, Karen?
Oh no, not at all. Not at all.
Now I've got just a trivia question for Prem, Claudia, and yourself. I've already asked this to. Now today is the Monday, the 14th of May, 2018. Monday, the 14th of May, 2017, 1 year ago. Give me a rough guess or rough idea, without looking at your computer, of what one Bitcoin was worth 12 months ago. I'll let you have a rough stab in the dark, Karen, while you're on screen.
I would guess around about $1,500.
$1,500. All right. Claudia, what's your guess?
1 second, sorry. I think it was 1,300, something like that, maybe a year ago.
Maybe. Prem, what's your memory like?
I think it had crossed 3,000 because it had already crossed 1,000 in December, and then it came back down, and March onwards it started its gradual rise, and I think we had crossed 3,000 in May.
Dip down. All the girls are closer than you, Prem. $1,965 a year ago. Now, you could probably remember, because I'm coming up to Karen and Prem. I joined Swiss Gold Global, bought my first contract in 11 days' time. It'll be 1 year for me. What was the difficulty rate like 1 year ago, Prem, when we were buying $30 contracts? See, price is $1,965 for one Bitcoin then, $30 contracts. The difficulty rate, what were we earning? Any ideas? Can you throw your memory back?
Yes, I roughly do, because I made a whole bunch of videos around this time. Obviously, I didn't pay attention to the price, but the difficulty rate now is well more than 10 times, many times more than that. It's incredibly high. So the rate of return, if I may say so, because you know, there's no other wording I can use really. The reward rate was roughly the same as it is right now. So we were showing okay, I know this much. In November 2016, we were showing an annual payback of about 55 to 60%. By March, it had crossed 70%, and May, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we were approaching about 75%. We're not at 75% now. That's because obviously, you know, there's been a bit of a pullback, but we are generally in the 70 to 80% region altogether. I can work it out real quick, but although Bitcoin is roughly 5-6 times more than it was last year, the difficulty rate is the reason why the reward rate is sort of not really jumped up. But it's a matter of just one short bull run. If Bitcoin smashes through that 20,000 psychological barrier, anything is fair game, and you're looking at hundreds of % coming back in play.
Exactly right, mate. That's right. So there are obviously key factors, like you tipped on before. There's a couple of players there that are doing things that influence the market. There's a lot of amateurs out there, but that's amazing. $1,965 1 year ago. Now it's at 8,400. Already reached the top of 20,000. That gives you an overall picture of what's happened in the last 12 months, which has gone in a flash. 12 months has just motored past. In the business, the learning curve from me personally, I've learned so much from all the people on the panel here, but also what's the understanding of how Swiss Gold Global runs their business, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies. Now we've got ICOs coming up. Now we've got our own mining farm starting the last half of this year. So the next 6 to 12 months are just going to be another explosion of opportunity and information to take on board, which makes this whole online business that we're in very, very, very exciting. So Karen, what's taking you over to? Oh, you just dropped out there, have you, Karen? Your camera's gone off, have it? Yeah. Oh no, yeah, there you are. I don't know. Can I see you, Karen? What's your? I've got cloudy there. What about Karen? Your camera there, is it all good? No, your camera's not showing. Maybe it just, can you hear me still, Karen? No, she's frozen. She's frozen in India. So I don't know what's going on there. The last 12 months for you, Cloudy, can you just, as we want to finalise the see in the next 6 months? So what's happened personally for you, Cloudy? Can you fill us in on that?
Oh, sure. I mean, certainly a lot of things have changed. I mean, I had no idea Bitcoin would go to $20,000, to be honest, even though I was involved quite a little bit. So, I mean, nobody really knew. It has been amazing. I mean, when you just think of it as being amazing, and then I'm always surprised when people, you know, who come on board, of course, now, and they say, yeah, but it's so slow. Well, it is actually so fast. You can't even catch up with all the news. No, it has been a great year. Of course, lots of things are going to come in the next few months, and we have said this a few months ago, and then we have said this another few months ago, but things are changing very much in the regulatory space. So you know, that's why with, of course, Swissquote Global, the ICO coming out a little bit slow, it's just has to do with the regulatory space. So regulation, we know all end of 2017, and certainly the last 5 months or 4.5 months here now going into May has been huge. So there has been lots and lots of changes being made. So you can't just launch an ICO and yes, it's done. Of course, you can get very skilled computer programmers and do it. But then the reason, sorry, the thing is that you can get caught up or even whatever can put up on you. So this is very, very complicated thing. And so we are, so Swissquote Global is in that space on getting the regulation, of course, you know, together for that ICO. So on the marketing sides, lots of things have already been implemented on the website, being readiness. But of course, everything has to now depend on that regulation. And once this is gone through, once this is all legalized, which is really important, I believe, you know, we're going to rock. I mean, we have a lot to offer. We don't want to tell so much yet, because only when everything is under, how you say, under the roof, then, you know, we can give more things out, because, I mean, there's a lot of competition also going on, of course, lots of things. I mean, this is a fast moving market, but I see that will be certainly a huge game changer. But then I say to people, get into mining, buy Bitcoin outright, as we always have said, make 50-50, buy some outright when the price drops, and put some into mining. I mean, mining gives great rewards. It gives really great rewards. So I'm doing that, and my team is doing that, and I'm getting more and more new people on board. And as I always said, if we educate people, if you help people, if you get them started, help them understand, not just promise, but also, you know, make them aware of what they get involved in, because so many people, they just like to promise, and they make a quick ad, make so much return overnight, but then they don't explain them. And then the things are coming when Bitcoin drops, and you get all those messages, oh, I'm losing money or whatever, or my Bitcoin return is not that you told me that. You can all avoid that with education. So I see a great future for everything. I mean, in the crypto space, I think lots of good things coming out, and I'm very positive. For me, it certainly has changed my life even further. But I always have sticked and not looked even sideways or anywhere. I just stick with what I know, and it had been paying off for me.
Very, very good. Thank you, Claudia, as always. Now, Paul, you've been in a couple of weeks less than me. I joined Prem, and then you joined me a few weeks after that. What's the last 12 months been like for you, and what do you see happening in the next 6 months down under?
Well, I'll just follow the trends. I go along with what Claudia and Prem has been saying all along. I just keep buying contracts, and I keep telling people to do exactly the same as what I've been doing since nearly, 12 months ago, as you say. I can't say much more than that. It pays every day, so they can't argue against it. They say, yeah, but, no, there's no buts. We get paid every day. If you want to get in, and I'll show you how to do it all.
And next 6 months, what do you think is going to happen, mate, next 6 months for us down under?
Well, next 6 months down under, yes, there are going to be some regulatory issues going to happen with the Australian government, that's for sure. There's more new exchanges that are opening up here in Australia. More and more people are becoming more aware of it. It's in every newspaper in Australia at present, in the financial sections. It's on the news. So hey, for the next 6 months, I'll just continue to do what I've been doing for the last 6 months, and just keep making money every day. And hopefully Bitcoin will get back up to where we had it in January. December.
Yeah, exactly. Now, just to finish, what out of 10 people that you would meet, what do you reckon the numbers are now in Australia that know something about Bitcoin with the people you meet, mate?
Well, I've really talked mainly into the pensioner area, because the Australian government here now has allowed pensioners to earn more money without affecting their income.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I'm hitting that particular area. I guess probably about 3 out of every 10 is starting to understand. I just say you're curious about Bitcoin, and people are curious about Bitcoin. So that's the area that I'm talking to more in the older gentlemen of Australia and women, of course.
Yeah, okay, great. On the golf course as usual. Yeah, that's interesting that the government's allowed pensioners more scope to earn money without affecting their pension. That's an interesting, the budget just came out last week, wasn't it? Last week. So, Prem, that's what's happening down under. So 12 months, I joined you just about a year ago. What's happened to you in the last 12 months within this space, and how do you see it panning out for the next 6 months? You're not quite a pensioner yet, so the people you're talking to are probably a little bit younger. But yeah, what do you think? Last 12 months, next 6 months?
Okay, so last 12 months, my experience has been a little bittersweet, not just Swiss Gold Global, but with people. And people are the way they are. They need to have a steady income of some sort, and they're willing to do different things in order to maintain that steady income. If they see their income dropping in something where they've put in a lot of effort, they eventually abandon it and move on to something else where they hope to do something better instead. And so my approach to building, what I've learned over the last 12 months is I'm changing my style in which I'm trying to build the business. So what we do is we've got a few clubs, entrepreneurs clubs, and similar organizations, groups of people. So what we do is we do a completely free short webinar, a live presentation. We gather a few people into that. The last one I went to, there's about 50 people there. The previous one, completely free. We offer teas and coffees and stuff, and just bring them in and tell them, look, this is cryptocurrency, this is Bitcoin, this is mining, this is the kind of wallets you need, and this is how you get set up, and it's very easy. If you want to drill deeper, come join us on a master class. Now, the master class takes place usually 2 or 3 weeks later. So in the meantime, their interest is rising. And in the master class, it's a full day session. The first master class I did in London, central London, was 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and I took a 20-minute break. So that's how much content, and I was the only guy talking. Obviously, there was lots of question and answers and everything. So we went through various types of exchanges, different types of wallets. What are the different types of wallets? So when you deliver this full package, then you have people who are actually entering with good information, or they get to pick and choose which way they want to do it, but they need to have that information. And that, frankly, has been a bit of a problem for me, because yes, you can do online and webinar tutorials, but what you really need is the people that you're working with. You need to make sure that they have understood what they're doing. They need to understand that this is not just all somehow money falling from the sky, but there is a logic. Because I just literally, while you were talking, I worked out today, at today's price, we are annualizing about 46%. If Bitcoin smashes through 9,000, even today, you're looking at 55%. So in a single day, your 45 annual return goes to 55. It is staggeringly good numbers by comparison to a bank deposit. But bank deposit, you have your money safe. In the sense, to some degree, you can take your money back out and go build an extension to your house or whatever. With mining, your money is stuck there for a period of time. And there are these little things that people need to understand and budget for. So the training aspect is what I find the hardest, because you need to be willing to actually deliver the training, first of all. When you've delivered the training, then you end up filtering the kind of people. But, you know, the thing is, with a company like Swiss Gold Global, this is a company you can boldly take to a firm of accountants, lawyers, regulated financial advisors, and tell them, we do the stuff that you don't do. And you already have a network of professionals. You already have a client base. You already have a Rolodex full of people. So why don't we take this to another level through them? So the idea is for the next 6 months, I'm mainly going to focus. I'm not going to do MLM anymore. My experience with MLM is very simple. There is no such thing as loyalty. People are not married to any one company. So what they do is they come into a group, they start looking at who are the other names, they start building relationships, then they start pitching something else altogether. Next thing you know, your entire team is doing something somebody else has been suggesting instead. So I personally don't want to focus on the typical MLM crowd. I want to focus on professionals who have clients that can very easily and comfortably buy a $5,000 platinum package, just give the money out, boom, you've got a platinum sale right there, and then they have more money to invest in mining, and then whoever introduces them gets the benefit of it. So I'm trying to move Swissquote Global business to a sort of premium only level, and frankly, because it's on the back of my past experience. I need a steady income. And in order for me to have a steady income, I need steady people to steadily keep growing, to steadily focus on one business. And you can't have some big marketer who comes in and then tells people, diversify your risk. I have 5 other businesses, Bitcoin related. Come and join me in all of them. And the next thing you know, the potential that was supposed to come into Swissquote Global is diluted all over different companies, 4 out of 5 being scams. When they fold, guess what? We lost good money coming to us, right? And we lost good people who are disillusioned with everything else. But eventually they do wake up. Eventually they wake up and they're like, hang on a minute. Swissquote Global has been here for 10 years. And I just want to say what Claudia said about, not giving away too much information. Certain types of information should be on need-to-know basis only. Because it is good to be transparent. It's good to show your face and tell people, this is my name, I live here, and you can contact me, and I'm willing to show my face to you and talk to you and meet with you. But what I'm not willing to tell you is high-level stuff that is business sensitive in a very fast-moving market. But think back a little bit. We have high-quality third-party partners who come together and work together, and that is critical. There will be other coins out there that are similar, and there are 2 or 3 already that are pretending to be, or are actually what the Swissquote Global ICO is going to look like. There are already a few alternatives in the market there. But when the parties involved are of the highest caliber, there is a greater degree of assurance, there is a greater thought process that has taken place in order to put it together, and as Claudia said, get it all under one roof first, because regulators aren't here to help Keithy or Paul or Claudia or Prem. Regulators are here to preserve a system, and the system is made up of those giant pyramids called banks.
Yeah. Yes.
So the regulator serves the banks, and make no mistake, everybody that works with any regulatory authority hopes to earn 3 or 4 times more salary when they jump ship and join the bank in a few years' time, saying, I come from the regulator, so I'm now suddenly a top gun inside a bank, and they'll be earning more money. So the regulator hopes to jump ship and join the banks anyway. It's an incestuous relationship they have. They are not here to look after the interests or the incomes or the well-being of individuals. That happens when you do a business like Swissquote Global sincerely, reaching out to people. The only trouble with Swissquote Global, as with any good business, is you must be willing to train people. You must, and this is what you do, Keithy. You do your regular hangouts, you put out information, and those who are thirsting and hungry for it are always able to refer back to your videos, to come back to your training, they can ask you questions. And without training, without coaching, the whole system falls apart very, very quickly.
That's
so
very,
next
very,
6 months,
yeah.
sorry, just to complete, next 6 months, I'm focusing on a higher level business and trying to reach regulated people with existing client bases and bring in the big bucks at the higher level. And I'm going to cut down on the multi-level marketing side, because that's where I personally just keep getting burnt, because people need to be loyal, and fact is people aren't that loyal.
Yeah. No, but a very, very important point you brought up is that from what I'm hearing you say is that you talk face to face with people, you organise meetings, and that we do that here in Australia. On Wednesday, I'm going down, driving an hour to spend the morning with Paul, and we've got about 12, 15, maybe 20 people coming to a coffee meetup, and it's basically giving them information from the knowledge we've gained, not only about Swiss Gold Global, but showing them our Bitcoin card and how the wallet works and what blockchain is, really basic, and repeating that message over and over again. That's what Claudia does. She just speaks to people face to face. Now, you can use Facebook and Instagram and all those to gain that interest and use it as a medium to advertise where you're physically going to be. So I've got a Facebook event saying, right, 10:30 on Wednesday at the Gold Coast. We're here at the Quality Inn Hotel, and we're meeting in the coffee shop, and we're doing this, this, and this, and we're talking about that. And what you rightly say is that you get 20, 30, or 50 people along to those, and they say, listen, if you are serious about going to the next level and you want them more detailed, then we're going to set you aside and get you together in a smaller, more defined group. And it's picking the people out of the crowd that really want to do something, who are committed and loyal, to build that team. And to build a team in Swiss Gold Global to be successful, Prem, you don't need 1,000. If you could get 20, 30, 40 people that are really super, super committed, and they all become affiliates, and you all work well together and then help another 30 or 40, then that's all it takes. It's not huge numbers at all. But the way you're saying, the way Claudia's led the way, that over many, many years, is face-to-face marketing. Talking to people. It's the old traditional way of doing it before the internet. Knock on a door like I used to do. G'day, how are you going? Have you received your free kitchen gift yet? What kitchen gift? Boom, boom, boom. Conversation starts. Next thing I'm showing them $1,000 set of cookware. And they think, well, the product's really good. They can bash it and crash it on the table and nothing happens. And then I go back 2 or 3 years later into the same town and see, oh, g'day, Keithy. Still got the set of cookware. She's going, how's she going? Oh, beautiful, mate. Absolutely beautiful. I actually rang up the company and ordered another set for a friend of mine, because the quality of the product spoke for itself. They spoke about the product quite freely to other people. And that's how people track you down. People follow you through Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and then directly contact you for that face-to-face. I didn't realise you're in Australia. Oh, you're actually a real person. What's your phone number? Can we speak on the telephone? And people come and actually talk to you about the business. So that is great information, not only from you, Prem, about your last 12 months, because people can relate to that. Claudia, people can relate to what's happening with you. Paul, with the older people who are keen for a knowledge of how their money's sitting in a bank doing not much in Australia at 3.15%, if they're lucky, how they can put a little bit of that into part-time passive income and earn it. So we've all got different stories, different backgrounds. We go about basic things, but at the end of the day, you've got to speak to people face-to-face and tell them about Swiss Gold Global. And if you're not quite sure about the whole information, Claudia's done 1,000 videos on the Swiss Gold Global YouTube channel. You go into the back office, you do watch the 37, well, this is number 38. We've done the Hangouts. We had Prem on a few times, Bill on a few times, Claudia on a few times. All the different bits of information are there. You can just scroll through and pick bits of information up and use that for your explanation of how this 10-year-old business is going to go from right now, May the 14th, for the next 12 months till May the 14th, 2019, and then the next 12 months and the next 12 months and the next 12 months. It's just an ongoing adventure we're all on. It's the big ship, the SGG. Was it the SGG? Her Majesty's ship, the SGG. But all those who sail in it will have a very, very good time floating on the Caribbean. As long as we don't get too much gold on board, because that'll weigh the ship down. We might flounder on some reef somewhere. We don't want that happening. Unless the ship's made of gold, Prem. Now, there's a thought. A golden cruise liner. Is that possible?
Well, it would float, but I don't see the point in it. And the Caribbean is exactly where all the gold-laden ships were sunk by Her Majesty's authorized pirates, otherwise known as buccaneers, whose job it was to intercept the Spanish Armada and undermine the Spanish expansion plans in favor of British trade coming out of Northern America, particularly sugar and tobacco and cotton. So Caribbean is a great analogy. There's a lot of gold at the bottom of the Caribbean already. I don't see why you would want a golden ship, because that takes away, it undermines the scarcity. But, you know, just one little quick thing before I pontificate too much. Gold may be a scarce commodity, and that's maybe why it is a precious metal compared to a base metal. And the limited number of Bitcoins available makes Bitcoin a rare commodity in some sense. But if I'm brutally honest, the scarcest of all commodities all of us have is time. And Paul will appreciate it because, you know, as you get older, time starts to run out. And with these new changes for pensioners in Australia, I can't see a better way of reaching out to them and saying, hey, look, if you feel physically moving around to do a job or building another income is not ideal now that you have entered a retirement mindset, why don't you then instead use what little reserves you have and apply some of them, not all of it, you know, keep some for the rainy day, but apply some of it to a passive way of doing things. Paul, you're sitting on a gold mine of elderly people that now have government approval and permission to go ahead and find something to do. And we do it through the cloud. It's modern technology. There's plenty of us available to help understand and train, so it's actually an amazing time to be alive. And I think time being the shortest of all commodities, you need to pick wisely where you spend it. And unfortunately, I have seen, this is my last 12 months experience, I have seen people squander their time and effort in something completely irrelevant and then come back to Swiss Gold Global. In my own case, I'm still working on something else in the background. We're going to restructure and relaunch that particular site. It's got nothing to do with crypto or precious metals, but I want to be in a game that reaches the masses or the people. It makes sense to the majority, because if you can give it a good shot, and Swiss Gold Global does that, it builds you a passive income. What is passive income? Passive income is nothing but releasing you from having to work to make income. So if you're released, what are you doing with your time? Never stay still. That's why my banner says never give up.
Yeah.
Over and out.
Over and okay. Thank you, Prem. Now, if you're ever short of something to do, the knowledge you've got floating around between your ears, you should start your own history channel, like David Attenborough. But, you know, I'll just mention the word Caribbean. Next minute, you're telling us about the Buccaneers and how many golds on the floor and everything. Welcome to Prem's History Channel on the BBC. I'm your host, Prem Jahal, and today we're finding out what the Vikings were doing 1,300 years ago on this very day. They weren't wearing beards like me, but they were killing people and pillaging villages. Anyway, thank you, Prem, for your insight as always. It's always it's not sure what you're going to say when you come on, but it's always of great value. But that's fantastic, mate, when you do. Claudia, thank you for your input as always from downtown Germany. It's great to have you all on. Pity we couldn't get Bill to get his Wi-Fi issues sorted. We'll have to get him a little modem he can carry around that he can hook up to a satellite or something like that. Maybe Swiss Gold Global should put into a satellite into orbit. Maybe we'll do that in the next 10 years. And we'll get into telecommunications. Then we'll never be able to get knocked off or whatever. So thank you, Claudia, for coming on this week. Hopefully see you next week. Are you still in Europe next week?
Sure. I'm not sure where I'm going to be. I may go to Paris for a weekend, but I will be on the next call.
Fantastic. Maybe in Paris. There you go, folks. 10 years of focus and commitment. You can be anywhere. You could go to the Caribbean, and that'd really annoy Prem, because they're scuba diving. And there you go, Prem, pointing with the camera. There's some gold down there, mate. Paul, always good to have you on, mate. I'll see you in a couple of days down on the Gold Coast. We'll go around to a couple of old people's homes and drag them out and get them down to the meeting. How about that? Or fill them up.
It's the right time, 10:30. That they're all out of bed by then. So, hey, what a good idea.
That's right. Just get them all to put their teeth in and then get them down for a coffee. All good. All right, Prem, thanks for joining us in the UK, mate. Take it easy. And yes, everybody, never give up. Good on you. Thank you, mate. Thanks, folks. We'll see you on the next one. Have a fantastic week.